see what it's saying. Hey, 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 hey. You gotta wait for this thing to start. Stream health. There we are. We are watching zero. There's like nobody watching right now, but guess what, guys? It's gonna be a lot of fun today. Today we are drinking wine. It's Sunday. It's starting to feel Christmas-like. The whole Christmas thing is coming around. I'm drinking a Sebastiani 2000, what does it say? Since 1904, 2019 Cabernet Sauvignon. I will be sipping this wine. Here it is. Here's the glass. Holiday. It's a Sunday afternoon. Why not enjoy life? Take a little sip of wine and talk about my Christmas wish list. I feel like Mr. Robinson, when he used to sort of settle in and get settled in and just enjoy himself. But today, I really do want to talk about my Christmas wish list. The things I would like to have. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those big YouTubers, so I don't get cameras sent to me. But I get impressed by some of the specs I see, and with the experience I have shooting, I sort of look at certain camera equipment and say, wow, that would be fun to get something like that, or that would be fun to get something like this. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. It's just a wish list of things I would love to have. And some of them are pretty dreamy. So today, we're not paying attention to price. We're not paying attention to practicality. And it's a lot of gas going on here, gear acquirement syndrome. So we're just going to have some fun and look at stuff that I like. Whoa, you are early today. Hey, Thomas. Hey, Thomas, it's good to see you, man. It's good to have you there. It's fun to have you. This guy, Tomislav, that's how his name is. Tomislav, Tom, I'll call you Tom. Tom is a great guy because he's been on the channel and he's been there all along. I'd like to thank you, Tom. It's really kind of cool to have people supporting me because sometimes YouTube doesn't give you any love. And sometimes you can have these whole waves of people, just a lot of hate, a lot of bad comments. And Tom has always been there to support me and talk and chit chat, and it's kind of cool. So today we really are going to talk about, and I do want feedback from you guys as to your wish list and what you think was really great this year, what you think wasn't great, what could have been better. Because there's some stuff out there, some gear that was highly anticipated and was not great. I'm thinking of, personally, I really feel that the Fuji X Pro, X Pro 3 they're at, was really like, stick with your X Pro 2. That's how I feel about that. But let's talk about a couple of things today. So today we're really going to be looking at, I might do a live edit if I have the time. If this goes overboard, then I won't do the live edit, but I'll be doing a live edit of Melissa. If you guys feel like seeing that, just comment below. And Tom says my pronunciation is okay. That's good. So listen, that's it. So today I might do the live edit. I've got to go through a couple of slides first. If I make it through them and it's not too long and you guys feel like seeing a live edit, I'll live edit a photo in the same likes as what you're looking at on your screen right now. It's a photo shoot we did back in 2016. Let me explain why 2016. Why did I bring a photo back from 2016? Well, it is because these days I'm really on that theme of having new Photoshop skills, going back to old photos and renovating them. I even have a video on that. Let me see if I got it here. Yes. It's better Photoshop equals better photos. I suggest you guys go check that out. You're going to see it's all about that. And that's really the theme today. So these are shots I took in 2016. They're great shots, but I really feel that with my new Photoshop skills, I can make something happen. So the first thing I want to do is go across the cool announcements that I think happened in 2019 as to new gear, different types of things. There's quite a few things on my slide. You guys can comment on what you think, but here are the cool announcements I thought that were a lot of fun. I tried to be as non-brand, brand favoring on this, but listen, here are the cool announcements I think that were great. Let me start off at the beginning with the RX100 Mark 7. What I really found was great about that announcement was it was Sony saying that we're going to continue making 1-inch sensor cameras that are great, and we're going to increase the features as much as we can to bring out something that's still very good. And the Mark 7 is a beast. It's a real beast. The RX100 Mark 6, that little tiny miniature camera, was already a magnificent beach, but the Mark 7 is beach. What am I talking about? Beast. But the Mark 7 is absolutely a contender out there for anyone doing blogging, vlogging, or a lot of street photography. Sony kept the optics game up. They played with the zoom, and they brought in even more features, if that's even possible. Let me take a sip of my wine, and we'll go into Panasonic. That is good, guys. Sebastiani, very, very good. I'll try to leave in the description after I finish the live edit. I'll put the wine, where it comes from and where I got it. Now, I got a couple. I have three. I have Panasonic's full frame and the S1 and the G9. Now, I brought out these because I think Panasonic really nailed a lot of stuff this year. Although they announced their full frame development the year before, you know as well as I, a lot of camera companies, they'll announce something and sometimes they'll never deliver on it. Panasonic showed everybody that they could deliver on a promise they made. They announced development, and when you hear that, development of a new camera system, you go, what the hell? And this is from a company that was just doing almost religiously 4/3, and then they said, okay, we're going to make a full frame camera with a new lens system called the, everybody, Mount Alliance. I love when Jared Poland does that. I just friggin' love it. I laugh hysterically alone every single time. But anyways, they announced that, and what was really great about this year in 2019 is they delivered on a lot of stuff. They came out with two bodies, some great lenses. I think the lenses at the beginning of the year, I wasn't as excited as I was, but slowly they came out with the other stuff. I don't like it when a camera company comes out with f4s and 24-105s, all those generic type lens. I'd rather they do what like Canon did with their R line and come out with a lot of primes. But their full frame delivery was great. The S1H, which they announced in, I think it was Q4 or Q3, but they announced the S1H. That is a beast. Anyone doing video filming, a lot of people who are in the professional realm will start thinking of Panasonic as a contender. They were already a contender with the GH5, GH4, and they've decided to keep themselves at the top of the list, and they did with the S1H. The Panasonic's G9, they brought down the body price probably because of the introduction of the full frame cameras. So that was a really nice thing. So you get, and anyone who loves 4/3 format will love the G9. They brought in, with the new firmware, they brought in a lot of video specifications that they have on the GH5. They brought it into the G9, and it's just an excellent stills camera, and the price is unbelievable, unbelievable. Other things. How much for the S1H? It's a lot of money, Tom. The S1H is not cheap, but it's not the price of a C200, and it's not the price of a C300, and it contends. It's pretty impressive on the specs. So check it out, you guys, if you want to check out the price on that. Maybe I'll leave something down below on the price on it. But it is pretty well priced. Anyone dealing with the new L-mount Alliance glass might be very interested, especially, it's a beautiful Alliance. It's Panasonic, Sigma, and Leica. Wow, wow. Let me go to some other announcements. The Sony A7R Mark IV, to me, is a beautiful camera. I have not touched it. Cannot make a review, but I believe the specs that are listed on that camera are unbelievable and keep Sony at the top of the mirrorless game for now. I mean, I really feel Canon is about to launch on some new great stuff, but for now, that announcement to me was really great this year, coming out with that A7R Mark IV. It is a beast. I think a lot of people in the professional photography, people doing press, sports, and stuff like that are going to really decide finally, I'm switching over to mirrorless and I will not stay in DSLR. I think that is, Sony has come out with a camera which puts the nail in the coffin for that. That and the A9. The A9 Mark II was a bit lackluster on what it gave, but I just wanted to say that. The Canon M6 Mark II, I believe, was a great move by Canon. They said, let's take the 80D, everything that everyone loves about the 80D, and put it in a mirrorless camera. It's a beautiful camera. It's fantastic. I've used it a bit, and it is unbelievable. And the size of it is fantastic. Canon really paid attention to keeping that size down, and you have a lot of the specs, plus more of the 80D in a mirrorless camera. So I thought that was great. Camera's firmware corrections on their EOS R line. Everyone who knows about the EOS Rs that came out, they weren't that great. So they came up with some firmwares that fixed a lot of stuff. Gave you better eye autofocus and eye tracking and stuff like that. So I think it was a big, great announcement made by Canon. Fuji's GFX 100, listen, it goes without saying. If you guys check my channel, you'll see I review the GFX 50R and the GFX 50XS, asking the same friggin' question. Who the hell is this camera for? And Fuji kind of answered me without knowing it. They came up with a camera which makes a lot of sense for a lot of people working in professional studio environments, but they also brought in a lot of the great specs that you see on the X-T3 line into a medium format camera. Fuji with the GFX 100 has told people, we're going to make a medium format camera with the muscle and the specs and the feel of your full frame or your APS-C camera. We're going to make a monster out of it. It's not cheap, but for a medium format, it is dirt cheap, the GFX 100. I also really like to, as well, listen, I've always been a fan of Nikon. No matter what, I've been sold on Nikon for years. Now Nikon has come up with, they came out with their Z line with full frame cameras, which are really good. But I really think a great announcement this year that they made and they introduced were the APS-C line of mirrorless cameras. I think it was great by Nikon. It was really good. The only critique I have on Nikon is that a camera is only as good as the glass, and right now they are lacking in glass in general on their mirrorless side. I hope they come up with the fantastic lenses they have in DSLR and bring them over to mirrorless. So those were the announcements I wanted to announce. That for me, those were the coolest announcement in the coolest announcement in 2019. So there you go. I'm going to answer a couple questions here. Nick Lawrence says, hey boss, I'm the boss of what? What am I the boss of, Nick? Just tell me. I'm wondering why. And Tom says, mirrorless rules, just ordered the XH1 for bargain at the same day it was. Yes, I noticed the XH1 people. If you guys want to go get the Fujifilm XH1, it is at a dirt bargain. But the question right now I got to ask you, Tom, which I asked in my community tab is, do you think they're going to come out with an XH2? Or are they putting this discount price to just get rid of the XH1 and come up with an XT4 with sensor stabilization? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. So I will take a sip and we'll go into my personal wish list of what I think would be excellent cameras. But in the meantime, what I will show you guys is a bit of the shoots that I've been doing lately. I did one with Anne-Claire Sorel right here. Just a great model. She's just a super pro. And I want you guys to, if you can, go check out some of those shots I did with Anne-Claire. What's really great about her is just she's just such a professional model, and working with someone professional like that, the images are bound to come out great and really, really good. So let's go back to my wish list, what I think I would like to have this year. And you guys just might catch me in a sip of wine. Cheers, everybody. Happy holidays. I hope you guys enjoy the holidays. Mine have been tough. I haven't had a ton of contracts this year, but YouTube has been doing well for me. So that's kind of cool. But I wish all the best to everyone out there for Christmas and New Year's. And I hope 2020 brings you love, beautiful photos, just a whole bunch of stuff that you want. There you go. Let me take a sip. So I picked this up in the bodies that I would like to get. Now, first, I just want to tell you guys, don't be mistaken by what you read. Now, I say I would like to have an EOS RS. The only reason why I say RS, it's because it's the only EOS R that has a high megapixel count, which makes it worth me wanting an EOS R. I have a feeling and an inkling and a feeling deep down inside of me that in the next 6 months, Canon's going to be announcing some big stuff, like even maybe a Mark II, EOS R Mark II already. Because I think they've learned from their first generation and they're going to come up with some new stuff. So one of the big things I'd like to have on my wish list is an EOS Canon, a mirrorless full frame Canon, but not the ones that are out now. And the RS seems to be a better improvement so far. But, I don't know. And then the next thing I'd like to have is a Fujifilm GFX medium format. I'd love to just have that camera and just do portraits and studio with it and not do anything else. No street, nothing, none of that stuff. And the other thing I'd like to have is another X-T3. X-T3 for video, for photo, it's just a beast, guys. It's really a beast. It's my big discovery. Like, I really like my X-T2. I thought it was great, but there's about 105 reasons to go up to the X-T3. If you have a Fujifilm X-T2, there's 105 reasons to buy and upgrade to the X-T3. The thing is a beast, man. It's like having an A9 in an APS-C size, and the image quality is great. The processor is better. There's so many upgrades there. So that is the wish list I have there. Next thing I want to go to. Now let's look at some of the lenses. And this is my biggest list because as much as bodies are good to have, I think it is always fun to have very good lenses. The lenses change the image. And one of the big reasons why I really like the R system is that it has the ability to use RF lenses, which you'll find out in a second, is one of the big wishes that I have. I really love Canon glass already. And if you check out Tony and Chelsea, Jared Poland, and all the other YouTube critiques on glass, they will all say, hands down, that the Canon R glass, the F glass, is just really, really good glass. And the 85 f1.2 would be great for portraits. The 7200 I would love to have just because of the size. Just the size, the fact that it's about 30% shorter than a normal 7200 and you can put in your bag really quick. I would love to have that lens. And believe it or not, at the bottom I have the Canon RF 35mm f. I put 0.8. It's not a 0.8, guys. It's not. I can't change the slide mid-live show, but it's not a 0.8. It's actually a 1.8. It's an f1.8 macro. I had that lens for about 3 weeks and it is stunning. For the price, it's absolutely stunning. So it gives me the ability to do portraits, to do anything else that you do with a 35 street or stuff like that, but you also have the macro capability. Let me get away from that mistake. Other lenses I'd like to have involve basically my existing gear. So there's the 85mm f1.4 Art and the Fujinon. The f1.4 Art would be something I'd put on my Canon 6D Mark II body. I still have a full frame DSLR that I love. I also have a video on that and why I'm keeping my DSLR. Check it out. The Fujinon f63, the GF63mm f2.8. and the GF110 f2. I tested both those lenses and they are spectacular. I'd love to have them. Now, what happens is I tested them and then Fuji asks me to send it back. So I had to send them back, but I have to admit that 63mm f2.8, it broke my heart to send that back. I mean, it's just a beautiful lens. I did street with it. It's unbelievable. It's just an amazing, amazing, amazing lens. So that's it for my stills wish list. Basically what I'd like to like to have for my stills. So there you go. What does Tom say here? F.8. Yep, that would be awesome. Would be awesome. You'd have a lot of problems with your depth of field though. How the hell would you get your shot? I thought about the X-T3 lately, but I do a lot of video handheld. So yes, you are right, Tom. But there's one thing I want to tell you that you need to know is that as much as an image stabilized sensor is good, remember that there are image stabilized lenses by Fuji, and the image stabilization on those lenses is unfriggin' believable. I'm talking most notably about the 1855 and a couple of their wide angle lenses. I have the 50 to 140. The optical image stabilization, the lens stabilization on those lenses is unfriggin' believable. And the amount of upgrade you make on the video with the X-T3 because of the F-log and now the slow-mo in the X-T3 is it's crazy. It's like crazy. You can go to 120, but it's the bit depth of that slow-mo that's unbelievable. And you can go get your stabilizations with a couple of lenses whenever you're doing video. But it depends. If you want to do video with fixed focals, you're kind of screwed when it comes to Fuji. You don't have the stabilizer. And also if you use vintage lenses. I kind of agree with you on that. Now, the next thing I have is my video wish list. What I'd like to have. God, this wine is good. It's so subtle. What I'd like to have as video cameras. Now, before I go to the video wish list, I just want to tell you guys that I have been using a stills camera and doubling it up as a video camera. So I've always been looking for specs in a stills camera that can give me great video. That's sort of changed, and I've sort of gone another way where I really want to have stills cameras that just do stills, and I want to have video cameras that just do video. So here is my new video wish list for 2019. The Canon EOS C200B. It is awesome. It is awesome. It offers 4K. You know, you don't have the 30-minute limit. There's a lot of stuff that you can get out of the Canon, the Cinema series, which is really cool. And what's great is you can still use the EF lenses on it. And there's all these setbacks you have when you're dealing with a stills camera that you just don't have. And I'd like to start looking at that. So the C200 is something that's interested me. The only reason why the C100 doesn't interest me is because it doesn't have the 4K. Now, another thing I'd like to get is pro lighting with a Bowens mount. Because I already have light modifiers that work on Bowens mount, I'd like to get a couple of LEDs that have Bowens mounts on them. It would be something that would really, really interest me. And the other thing is a shotgun mic, a good quality one. I just bought this thing. And you know what? I'm going to tell you guys this. It is the Audio-Technica. It's the AR6550. Anyone out there who wants a shotgun mic that gives you some good quality, that's about as good as a Rode, so you're not getting anything better. But I really need something that's high quality. So I'd like to invest a good 1K in a shotgun mic that does the job right. So the Sennheiser MKH416, which I've used before, is excellent shotgun mic. It's directional and does the job. You guys, my Instagram, here it is, there it is. So if you can, show some love, go to that Instagram, and please hook on there. I want you guys to see what I do. It's always great to see what I do. Okay, so I think what I'll do right now is show you a bit more, again, some more shooting. And what I'm going to do is set up a live edit. Okay, sip of wine. Oh, that's some good wine. Yep, that's what you hear, guys. I'm pouring more. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for an edit, live edit. And what I'm doing here is an old photo that I took a while back. If you look at the metadata right here, you can see it was taken at f9, 1/160th of a second. Therefore, I believe it was probably with the Canon at that time. I used a 50 millimeter Canon EOS 6D Mark I, and the 50 millimeter f1.4, if I'm not mistaken, that would be the Sigma art lens that I had at that time. Let's go look at this. This is a shot of Melissa. Told her to lay down, and we decided to do that. Let me get that. Zoom in. Go down here. Look at that. Oh my God, I'm looking at that. There's a bit of noise. It's a tiny bit out of focus, and I do not care because I think the shot is great. Let me let it load. Yeah, it's loaded. See that it's not perfectly in sharp, but okay. Take a sip. So first thing I do is I evaluate the lighting here. And, oh, what did Thomas say here? Just want to see what he said. Bought recently the 1655 and have many advantage. Huh. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is take this image. Look, now what I have to deal with here is these things right here. This is, you know, natural. A lot of people get them. It's like these little veiny things, but you do want a continuity of color here. So what I'm going to do with Melissa in this one, press escape, double click on that to open it. It will open it in Adobe Raw. Check my temperature out. I'm going to warm this up. It was a bit blue. I'm going to bring up my, now this, the original was this right here. So I can bring up exposure. This is one of the big advantages of RAW, people. Anyone, if you shoot in RAW, it's just an advantage. I mean, it's RAW is like literally going back into the photo, back in time. I think it's great. Now, I'm going to take this. As you can see from the line in the back here, we are not level. So first thing I will do is crop, go to original ratio up here. Take my, go to the corner and then move this and crop it so it is straight. You got the guidelines, it helps a lot. Now I'm gonna do some cheating on this. First thing I'm gonna do is take my layer and go Control J, make a new layer, call it main, and go into this. Let me fill the screen. Control 0 fills the screen. It off here. The new Photoshop, as soon as you click on this, you're in transform, which I think was a good idea. Now I'm going to play with liquefy. Why do I want to play with liquefy? Well, I think I want to bring this leg in a tiny bit and arch the back. Now, no matter what anybody says, an arched back is just nicer for any shot. If a model poses from the side and she's got an arched back, if she's not exaggerated, it's always nicer. And even if you shoot a model from the front, the arched back will look better. I just want to tell you guys that. One of the key things I tell my models when we shoot is always at one point, arch your back. So I'll go here, filter, liquefy. This might open on the other screen. If it does, I'll pull it in. There you go. I go up here, take my liquefy tool, zoom in. Now play with her sweater, make sure her sweater doesn't, see, because her sweater's cheating her lines. I'm gonna bring her stomach in a tad, bring the chest in a bit. This butt was squished, you don't want that squished. Bring this little bump in before I do the arch. Arch everything. Now I see what happened. When I arched, see the shadow bending? You don't want that. You have to watch out with that all the time. It's something that occurs when you bring in her thigh, a tad, bring in the bottom thigh. Melissa definitely has relatively, bigger breasts. So I'm not going to touch that. I mean, she's got, there's plenty of breast there. You don't have to bring in breast. I mean, it's up to you. It depends on what you value. I bring in the chin a bit. Why do I bring in the chin? I bring the chin in a bit to square out this section, make sure it's nice and defined. Another thing I want to tell you guys so that you know is that when you are doing an edit of a dancer or a circus artist or anyone who's physical, uh, one bonus cheat, which is a lot of fun, is always arch the feet. Always. Arched feet look better for a ballet dancer and for anybody. Melissa is a circus artist, but still, when I take her feet and arch like that, bring this out. It's got to look real too, you know. You can't be. Bring that arch. Bring in her sock there. Flatten the foot so it looks real. You can even flatten this if you like. Bring in the calf. Just a tad. Don't go too nuts. Idea is to accentuate what is already there. I'll do an okay. This is before. This is after. Before. After. There you go. Okay. Really quick like. Now, you guys, I don't know if you noticed my newfound love of Luminar 4, but it's definitely going to be a bonus here. I'm going to use it. A couple of things I want to mention here. I'm going to do retouches. Now, first thing I do, you will notice up here, my sensor was very dirty. This is what, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is what a dirty sensor does. It makes these little splotches. I use the healing brush. You can use clone stamp, it's up to you, but you can take that out. Anyone who doesn't know how to use the healing brush, really quick like, what you do is you take a spot where you want to sample. You go to the healing brush, make the brush the size you want, go to a spot you want to sample, press Alt, click, and then bring that over to where you want to cover up. I'm just going to go quickly around. There you go. Let's go back to the girl. Okay. Here's another splotch, but no, that isn't a splotch. That's part of her. These circus artists, they beat themselves up so much because they train so much. Let me just take care of her thigh. Anything else? Beauty marks you leave. It's natural. It's how the person looks. Little splotch here. Same thing. Alt here. Her socks were dirty. I'll leave you guys a link to this shoot. It was a lot of fun. Melissa's just a great girl. She's from Mexico, Mexican, and I believe she tried a blog thing, but it just didn't work out. Underarms, you can try to get some continuity in there. Don't go too nuts. We live in a world now where bodily hair is seen as more natural than before, and if you now see, Melissa is she does straps. What's called straps. She actually hangs herself from straps and does stuff in a circus environment. She does acrobatics, but she's always hung from straps. So I think the key here is she's got calluses at her wrist. That's just because she uses them so much when she trains. Her face. Melissa, you're just a stunning girl. Look at you. Little pimple there. Let's take care of that. Okay. Try to keep it natural. Youth. So much fun, youth. Just to be natural. Let's look at that now. Control 0. Very, very nice. I like that a lot. What I'm going to do with this now, I'm going to take this photo and I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to do a lot of magic in Luminar. Luminar is a plugin. So what I will do here is I will go here, Control Shift, Control Alt E, make a new layer, call it Luminar. There you go. Press File, Save As. Let's save this sucker. Just save it. There you go. At least we have a PSD if anything happens. I go Filter, Skylum Software, Luminar 4. Oh, some people got off. Yeah. Ba-na-na-na-na. Da-ba-na-ba-na-na. I'm not going to do much in Luminar here. I'm just going to go over here to the portrait thing, AI skin enhancer. Take this slider and bring it up, paf, to 100. Let it process. Now remember those veins we saw on her legs? Let's go in there and look at that. Let's look at it before and after. It smooths all those veins out. Now I'm losing some of the naturalness in her skin, so I will bring that down a bit. I like that. Let's stay here. We will stay here a little while. I got some more happening here, but that is okay. What you can do if you want to double up and go really nuts, you can create a new layer over here, add new adjustment layer, and on that adjustment layer, double up on AI Skin Enhance here, and it's going to go a bit nuts. But what you do is you edit the mask, take a brush, go in here, and you can brush in. Here, wait, give me a second here. I'm going to look at see where, there you go, masking in on there. So it's just going to apply that to the leg. Take that out. That looks good. I like that. So there, you just applied on the adjustment layer there a bit. Pull that out, go back to here. Adjustment layer. If you want, you can name this, rename this, just call it legs. That's a good idea. Now I'm going to do a couple of creative things with this. I'm going to play with this in Luminar because I just feel like it, you know. I will go with dramatic. Let's see what happens when you pull that up. That's really cool. But again, I'm accentuating some stuff that I just don't like. I have no control over that. I'm going to pull up mystical. I like mystical. That's really nice. Because the image is already sort of out of focus, it's not a bad idea to play with this and give it a sort of artistic feel where it's out of focus a bit. Now this mystical filter, you can go play with it and go into sun rays and stuff like that. Excuse me, you can go into shadows. Next thing I'm going to do is apply a LUT. Anybody who's watched my channel and seen my critiques on Luminar and Photoshop, LUT is a color lookup table, L-U-T, lookup table. And I really like the lookup tables on Luminar. I like them better than what Photoshop has to offer. So let's go in here, color LUT. Let's look at some of them. Anaheim, Bakersfield, Los Angeles. That's crazy. That's nuts. San Diego. Remember, if I take this, like that's, you know, that's a bit crazy. Like that's a lot. But, you know, let's look at this right here. 1960, Beijing, candlelight. Color punch cold, color punch hot. Let's go with Grace. Remember that you can change the amount that you have here. So let me bring this down to here. I like that a lot. Glow I will not touch, film grain either. Sun rays, just for the hell of it. Let's play with sun rays. Go amount, place sun center. Okay. Be patient, everybody, okay? I know you're going, what the hell is he doing? Okay, you got to sort of match the warmth of the picture. Amount, bring it down. Remember, you can go out of the photo and let the intelligence figure out what's going on. She could be looking at the sun like this. Or we can bring it down here where it sort of pops out the side. On the other side. No, I kind of like it there. Let's see what happens when we go under. No, I'm going to put it right here. See how it's interacting with the photo? It's kind of cool. There you go. That's what I'm going to do that because I just like what's happening there with the image. Remember, mystical, you can bring it down afterward, after you've done what you wanted. Because you added sun rays, you might want to play with that a bit. I'm going to go back in sun rays and bring amount down just a tiny bit, just to make it look like she's being bathed with some sort of image here. So with a ray of light, I'll press this right here. I press apply, it's exporting image, goes back into Photoshop, creates a layer. There you go, filter Luminar, there it is. You can also, if you want, go to your layer and play with how much you want of what you just played with in there. That's the original. I'm going to put it 100% because I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, last thing I will do, filter, blur gallery, iris blur. I just love iris blur. Brings in, what I like to do is keep feet and hands sort of blurry. Keep her face nice and sharp. And here's the effect if you go nuts. But I personally put it around here. I like that a lot. Really, really nice. I think that is nice. A couple of other things you can play with. I'm going to save this. Save as. I'm going to call this flat. But watch this. I guess this image, if you want, for the hell of it, I could rotate it. Image, rotation. Let's go 90. That looks really cool. You know, if, for example, if I took this and I cropped, let's say I wanted to go Instagram, I cropped like this. That could be a really cool photo, you know. It's cool. It's like sexy, like that. That could be a photo as well. Let's undo that. And let me rotate again. Image rotation, go 90 clockwise. Okay, put it in the middle. Oh my God, that's like so cool. I'm gonna go square on this. Okay, let's crop it. Canyon. Okay, let me go to Control 0. I have a spot here which I want to be gray. So what I do is I'd create a layer, call it fill. And then after that, I would definitely fill this in. So I make my color. I sample the end part of this, go OK. Then I take the paint bucket. Oh, it's on stamp. Paint bucket, fill up that layer. Take that layer, put a mask, invert the mask, and paint in there. Make my brush nice and big. Fill that in as much as possible. You can do this a different way, but bring my opacity down, paint in a bit more so it gradiates. You can also do this with a type of filter. Now I'll go Control Alt E and I'll do a little adjustment on the overall, play with that, contrast it. I really think that's cool. She's kind of on top. It's kind of cool. Next thing I'll do in my adjustments is add a black and white. What I like about black and white is if you play with, you take a black and white filter, stick it on top of your image, and you play with some of the different types of blend modes, you can get some really cool, creative type of shots. With each blend mode, there's something new that pops up. In this case, I'm going to go soft light and bring it down a bit. That's my image, guys. That's what I like. I like this. This will be on Instagram in about 10 minutes because I love this shot. You guys, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you have any comments on the wish list that I have, do you have a wish list that you sort of like, that you think is fun? Please mention it in the comments. Please also comment on my great announcements and what things I thought were great about 2019 and the announcements made this year. You can leave those comments as well. Jacques Gaines Photography is not only about getting the shot, but it's also about the journey getting there. You guys like, share, subscribe, and don't forget, everybody, keep on making something from nothing.